Alan, over to you.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The first thing I'm actually going to show is the Google Maps example, just because it takes up more of my screen here. So let me just talk a little bit about eggPlant and what you're seeing on your screen first, and then we'll dive into running a script. So this is eggPlant for Mac. eggPlant for Linux and Windows work in much the same way. They just look and feel a little bit different because they are on different operating systems, of course. eggPlant is a suite-based tool, so all of your scripting assets are stored within the suite, so you can see scripts, images that you capture. We give you a color-coded view of your results so that you can get a quick look at what's going on with your scripts as you're developing your tests. We have a schedule tab. Think of this as a way to quickly create a batch file and then run the entire suite from the command line or through the run button here. And then we also have the capability to allow you to build up libraries of reusable code, and we call those helpers. What I'm first going to do is we're going to work with this, little short script here. It's actually a short script, but it's going to show you a lot. It's eggPlant working with Google Maps to kind of show you a couple of things that you can do really quickly with a map-based application. I've captured a few images and I've put this little script together. It's going to be able to run on Linux and Windows. It's going to do the same test. I'm going to use eggPlant scheduling capability to do that. It's going to first connect to, I believe, the Linux system and perform this test, which is going to be, it's going to enter some coordinates on the screen in the search field here. It's going to zoom in on those coordinates, validate something on the satellite image, and then do the same thing at a different location. So first thing is I'll just talk a little bit about the script. This script is also going to be pulling data from an external source. It's just a text file with some data that I've formatted in it. And it's going to also keep track of if something passed or failed. We're going to log some things to the log file. We have custom logging ability. So let me just bring my suite window back forward here. Oh, and one other thing I should show you really quickly is these windows. These two windows are VNC views or remote views of two different systems. They're actually virtual machines that I have here. Oh, sorry about that. Clicked the wrong spot on the toolbar. So these are two virtual machines. They can be virtual machines, physical machines. Everything right now is hosted on my Mac here, so you can see everything. It's just a nice consolidated way for me to do demos and testing. Just to show you those, I was going to show you those, but these are just virtual machines here. Let me just quickly refresh my browser here. So we're right where we need to be. And like I said, I'm going to be using eggPlant's scheduling capability to work with this. We give you a status. The last time I ran this, I did get a failure, but hopefully we won't this time. So I'm going to start, and I'm just going to simply run my schedule here. And it's going to first start with my Ubuntu system. It's going to check to see that Google Maps is in the right mode. In this case, it wasn't in the right mode, so it's going to switch over to the satellite mode. Now it's going to go and it's going to type in, just as the user would, a set of coordinates. And now it's going to zoom in using drag and drop. And I did set the script up to pause here with a breakpoint just to explain a little bit about how we're going to do our verification here. I've got some data-driven testing here. I've got some corresponding images to validate with, and I can show you those really quickly. What we're going to be validating in this first location, and let me go over to our images here, is the fact that this road junction is clear. If you were to run this script, say later, and the satellite image is updated and there's a car or a package or something, there's something that makes it look different, eggPlant will flag that up as something has changed. So just to show you how that works, and then we'll just let it continue. And it's going to find that. And now it's going to go reset, and now it's going to go to a different location. and it's going to zoom in on a place I used to work. What it's going to validate here is the parking lot, that the cars are there and they're in the correct order and the correct ones. At this point, I'm going to take out this breakpoint so that we can just let it continue. It's going to validate. Now, without any modifications to my script, it's going to flip over to Windows, different platform, same browser, run the exact same test again, and hopefully have the same results. So again, it's going to zoom in just the way a user would, dragging the slider, validates that that road junction is indeed empty, reset, go to the second location, zoom in on it. This time it didn't render fast enough. That could be indicative of a problem with our satellite feed. It could be indicative of a problem with my network. But eggPlant did faithfully grab that as an error. You can see that it kept track of those errors. As part of the failure, and let me go over to the results again, you'll see that we've got some errors in our result list here. And apparently it took the screenshot after it rendered, but that's all right. We just happened to see that it was that something wasn't quite right, so we took a screenshot of the remote system. We programmed eggPlant to do that, so you can attach that to a bug report. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my systems here for our command and control example here. We need to get some windows out of the way just to make sure that we can see what's happening. Go back over to eggPlant here, and I'm going to bring up another script here. This is our C2 script here. All right, so this next demonstration that I'm going to show you, actually I should pause and see if Richard has any questions before we jump right into the next demonstration.
There was one question, Alan, with respect to multiple images and how eggPlant will handle those if the same image appears more than once on the screen.
Okay, there are a couple ways you can handle that. The first is to just not do anything. eggPlant will just search the screen from top left to bottom right and just interact with the first one it finds. Conversely, you can also restrict which part of the screen that eggPlant searches. So if I were to bring back my Google Maps here, just as an example, you could tell eggPlant that I want to look for a marker somewhere in this part of the screen. So on the West Coast, for example, you could restrict it to only markers that appear on the West Coast. You can also get a list of every instance on the screen and then just pick out of a list. Or you can use our hotspot feature, which is, I don't know if you can see this very well. I'll zoom in on my screen a little bit and highlight where my cursor is. There's a little red crosshair here. So for example, if I wanted to find a marker somewhere near where Colorado is labeled, I can move the hotspot to where that marker should be and interact with it. So that's another way that you can deal with multiple items. You can work with a point of reference. So those are the basic things. You can restrict the most common ones are restricting the screen and using our every image location function to pick the instance that you want to work with from the list. All right, so the next little demonstration I'm going to show you gets a little bit more complex. This is going to use a single license. Again, we're still using a single license of eggPlant here. I'm only using one eggPlant license. I've only got one installed on this machine. This time we're going to have two systems interact with each other and use a single eggPlant license to validate that changes made on one are reflected on the other and go through a workflow. The other thing this is going to show you is eggPlant's ability to allow for operator input. The first thing eggPlant will do is it will prompt the operator for information, because I know there are situations where operators need to interact with the system upon occasion, entering logins, repeating tests, and so on and so forth. So what this script is going to use our two chat boxes here on our Linux system and on our Windows system to have a little essentially conversation, but passing commands back and forth and doing something based on the response that one system gets from the next. So the way this is going to work is it's going to prompt me to do one of three options. I'm going to choose one of those options. Based on my choice, the Linux system will type something in. Then eggPlant will switch to the Windows system, validate that the message got through, check what message that is, log that information, and then send a message back based on what message was given. Then we will flip back to the Ubuntu system or the Linux system and then validate that that message came back, and then, we'll be prompted for the next action. So this is a pretty straightforward script. We have some examples of using variables, also using functions. So you can build your own functions to do repetitive tasks and make your scripts more modular, more maintainable, and a little easier to read. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And now we're presented with our operator input window. And that's just an eggplant window. Here's our command options. So I'm going to tell it to go ahead and locate the target. And it's going to go ahead and do that. eggPlant's going to validate the text on the Windows system, send back a message. And again, the Linux system will validate that.
Great. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, and hopefully we'll be hearing from you soon.
Thank you, everyone.